done by now. I don't know if he is doing one these days or not. I have no idea. There was a guy
4 to 5 for you is a rough time.
for the,
For you to watch.
oh yeah. It is a hard one for me to watch. I got a thing. It was like a 2-hour long video. Hey everybody, it's Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching. It's Thursday and it's 5 o'clock and Chris is on vacation and I am still here. Now, guys, yesterday I took some time off, but today I was in the shop all day and diligently working. Tomorrow I'm going to be in the shop most of the day, but I might do some fun stuff too. I haven't decided yet. But I was just talking with Joy, who is here with me off the camera. I got tagged in some video every so often. Like this cool guy tags me in his videos just because he wants me to see them or something, I guess, and they're good videos. And then I got this one. I hadn't seen this guy before, and he tagged me in his video, and it was like 2 hours long. And I'm watching this thing. It's like his tone in his title. And I don't know this guy. He seems like a cool dude, but he tagged me in the video, and I'm like 2 hours. I'm like, well, why am I watching that? I'm not in the video, which is fine. But he made it like, oh, I'm going to be in his video, and then 2 hours later, it's just him sitting around talking to people on the in the chat screen, and yeah. So anyway, but he did speak about a buddy of mine, Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum, and Paul from Mile House Studios, and he gave those guys some. I'm not going to say he gave them some love, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I was just talking with Joy about that guy, and now it's time to take a super chat from Sir David Dangerous, who says ad free is cool. Brian is to blame. Pardon me. Brian is to blame, and I don't know if Brian is here or not in the chat. Brian is not in the shop. Brian has been helping me out quite a bit. We are kind of pushing to get all the advanced work done for the upcoming SG workshop, and that's going to be a lot of fun. But let me tell you guys something. It is a ton of work. Vinny is here. Vinny, you have 2 guitars coming to you. Let's see. Jay says that he finally got one of the TTG tees that he ordered from Teespring. Jay, I have one on my body right now. I haven't had one of these. This is kind of like my I have that Dogtown. Wait, I have that Dogtown shirt, and it's got basically the same thing. And I said, Joy, I want a shirt just like this Dogtown one. She's like, I can't make it work. I'm like, no, do it like this. And she's like, oh, I didn't know you wanted to cross upside down. And I'm like, well, it's not like it's like a crossword puzzle to me. But yeah, so I'm supposed to turn. If I turn around, though, no one's going to be able to see it because my hair is going to be in the way, and it's going to scooch the. But anyway, you guys can see the picture on the website. But I haven't had one of these shirts for a while because the Teespring one that I had years and years ago developed a bunch of holes. Either that or I have moths in my house that only wanted to eat that shirt, which I somehow doubt. John owns 16 can't says, I blame Brian too. Thank you, John. I don't know. John, have you been here before or maybe under a different name? Mike Beckloff. How are you, Mike? How are you doing, man? Robbie F. Robbie, I guess you were watching that guy's show, the tone guy, the tone dude, because I saw he was talking to you a little bit. Goslin Creative, Upside Down Cross, it's a Powered by Evil shirt. Okay, no, it didn't. Paul, I know that you have a more knowledge on this than I do, but I don't think that this is in any way wicked or evil unless you give it that power and authority, which if I'm not trying to do that. So anyway, Jay says, I blame Matt because he runs a damn good shop. Thank you so much, Jay. And you know what? I will take that blame. Um, uh, did Joy, did you talk with Jay about all of the stuff that he wanted that's not guitar related? Candle stuff. I think Jay burns them things like they're going out of style, which that's cool by me because they smell good. By the way, Jay, I have one right here. You guys have one of these? It smells exactly like me. Musky and leathery. So on the Texas toasted candle, Jay likes them. I like them too, and yeah, get one for yourself. Get one for your person. Speaking of stuff that you can get, it is not unheard of for me to wear a bandana, though it is hot in the shop. I'm not wearing a bandana today, but Joy actually had some of these guys made too, and they're big. They're big bandanas, so you could wear them. Sometimes I kind of like to wear mine like pulled down over my eyes, like Cheech, and I think that's fun. And sometimes I just like to have one in my pocket. So anyway, get you some of that. All right, let's see where we are. John says, John Roddy. Oh, okay. The Diabolical Metal Flake Challenger. John, have you heard from Tim's Custom Shop yet? I haven't gotten it back yet, but I think it's in the works right now. Dan says, now I have to make a decision. My local music shop wants me to play guitar in their shop. What did John? Oh, put a guitar in their shop. Wants me to put a guitar. Well, Dan, what what are you going to do, man? Let me know. So guys, I have been deliberating quite a bit ever since January. You guys might know this, but you might not know this. But before I get into that, let's take a super chat from my friend Mike Beckloff, who says, got my new t-shirts and hat this week. Only took 6 days. Thanks, Brian. Brian didn't send them to you. No, what's the name of the new outfit that we're using? We haven't told people. Oh, because it goes through. Okay. All right. So we have switched from what used to be called Teespring, and now I think is simply called Spring. And I don't think it's anywhere, maybe up on the YouTube. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that shirts and logo merchandise, whether you like them or not, are coming faster than ever. And you just go right through our website and buy those. And I think they're pretty excellent. Tazzy Tim sent us a super chat and says, "G'day, gang from Tasmania." Thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate that. My friend Doc is in the house. Dan is here. Eric is here. Terry is here. Curtis is here. Curtis, how you been, man? I haven't seen you in a while. Anyway, let's get back to my story from January. Let's take another super chat from my friend Dylan at Dylan Talks Tone, who says, we will be talking about the new pickup class tonight. For some reason, I'm extra excited about this concept. Dylan, I'm glad that you mentioned that. Let's put a pin in that because I want to talk more about that tonight. And let's take a super chat from Vinny's World, who says, thanks so much for the guitars. Really looking forward to playing them. Hope UPS doesn't hold things up. They're really uptight about rosewood and related variants. Well, that's, okay. I don't anticipate you're going to have any problems, my friend, but I guess we'll find out. I don't know how it works. So Vinny is now in Japan. He was in Hong Kong, I think. Vinny, correct me if I'm wrong. And but have you relocated entirely, or are you just kind of? I don't know. I think Vinny's job takes him around to kind of globe trotting. I don't know what he does. I think he's like a brain scientist or a rocket surgeon or something like that. Anyway, okay. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but in January, I was out at the Woodwire and Volts show, and Dylan was there with me. Chris went, and Jimmy went too. And we had a good time, and met a lot of really neat people, saw some really neat stuff. And one of the things that was inspired me when we got there was one of several people had some guitars that looked big, but weren't particularly big. And what I mean by that is, like an Explorer is a decent sized guitar. In other words, if you had a square of lumber and you were going to make an Explorer out of it, obviously you're going to cut a bunch of stuff away, but it would be a big piece of wood. And some guitars, Gibsons are generally more to blame for this than others. Firebirds and Explorers, there's a bunch of material cut away from there, but they're big. And I saw some instruments, and my first thought was, those are kooky looking. I dig those. But then I thought, I like those because they look big, but aren't big. Does that make sense? So I've been working on a new line of guitar, and they're a little kooky shaped. Some of you guys have seen them. Some of you guys have commented on them. Doc sent me a very nice, some nice words about them. And I put them up a couple of weeks ago. I don't know why I put them up. I wasn't trying to tease them. I was just like, oh, let's get these up there and then show them off. But I don't want to talk about them at all. So if there's any of them behind me tonight, I'm not going to talk about them. I just want to talk about the idea of zany looking guitars versus traditional shaped guitars. And the funny thing is that some of what we think of as something zany now, in many ways, has been around since 1950 something. You know what I mean? So like the Explorer and the Flying V and the Modern, those all were designed in the 50s. The Firebird, the Thunderbird, stuff like that. Those came shortly afterwards. The BC Rich, Mockingbird, and Warlock, those are fairly old now. It doesn't mean that they're traditional, but it also doesn't mean that they're absolutely wacky either. So I want to know what you guys think of wacky shaped guitars, and do you like them, or do you err on the side of the traditional instrument? And I want to go to your comments here in a little bit. It's funny too. It's a known thing now, but can you imagine in 1961 looking at the SG, what then was the Les Paul, but would become the SG? Can you imagine how positively just kind of wacky that must have looked back then to everybody? I think that the SG certainly caught on more than, at the time, certainly caught on more than the Flying V and the Explorer, and certainly the Modern. But the Explorer and the Flying V, of course, would go on to be wildly popular much, much later. So I think that kooky guitars, maybe they're kooky when they come out, and then they get more traditional as time sort of goes on. So I'd like to hear what you guys think, because I've got a bunch of guitars coming out soon. You're going to see them soon. I think they're a little traditional, but I think they're a little kooky too. So Stringwood Guitars says, bro, we got to be all zany at times. LOL. Yeah, I think it's important to, one of the things that I have tried to do for the last decade or more is try to build guitars that, my own personal shaped instruments. What I wanted to do was make something that felt and looked familiar, even though it wasn't exactly the same as, say, like a Telecaster or Les Paul. I wanted someone who liked guitars like that to feel, I don't know, comfortable playing that. Like I said, maybe a feeling that's familiar. And I'm stepping away from that a little bit. And I'm doing some stuff that I've always wanted to try, but for one reason or another, I haven't been able to try. One of the things that I'm gonna allude to, in fact, I'll just tell you about it. I won't allude to it. I wanted to try some different contouring on the backs of the guitars, but because of the location of the switch on my Challenger model, I haven't been able to do. So So I wanted to do some of that on some of the new stuff. So Tony says, you want a modern guitar? Try a headless Strandberg. Yeah, okay, yeah. I think that headless guitars, man, my first headless guitar that I ever had, I think was from the 80s, and it was a Washburn Force 42. I thought it was cool, but yeah, hardly modern by any stretch of the imagination. What's that? Strandberg is not, doesn't float your boat, Joy. Okay. Hey, Pete is here. How you doing, Pete? Let's see. Everyone is talking amongst themselves. Dan says, thinking that people may be starting to get tired of the same old, same old. You think so, Dan? I think that maybe we might be going through a time as guitar connoisseurs that is, more, and it ebbs and flows, right? Once you get so many tellies and strats and SGs and I don't know, Guild Starline, insert name of guitar here, you almost get to where you're like, I love it, but I don't really want to, it doesn't inspire me to do anything anymore. So, and I think that regardless of what your field of endeavor is, that just kind of happens, you get fatigued with the stuff that everybody has. So I'm not trying to bash on strats, but the fact of the matter is, if for those of you who know what an encyclopedia is, if you looked up electric guitar in an encyclopedia, I would be willing to bet you there'd be a picture of a Stratocaster there. So if you have a Strat and all your friends have Strats and everybody that you know has a Strat and everybody that you go see plays Strats, that's cool. And then you kind of go, well, what else you got? Is there anything besides Strats? I would imagine cars for classic car people who are really into cars. The older stuff is just cool because it's different, modern cars are seemingly all the same now. When I was riding motorcycles, I was like not into choppers. I was not into, Harley Davidsons and stuff like that. And I love all that stuff. But like when I was riding, I really if I had my druthers and money was no object, I'd rather have one of the cool cafe bikes, like a Norton or something, not because they were efficient or reliable or any of that stuff, but just because I thought they were cool, and as I have commandeered the saying, and Carl Casarda said it best when he said, cool things are cool because they're cool. And I don't know who he stole it from. Maybe he invented it, but to me, I like it because it's quirky, and I like it because it's funky, and I like it not because it's perfect or ideal, but just because it's neat and it's different from everybody else's. Let's see what my friend Dylan has to say. I bet you it's about motorcycles. He says, I'm at the point where I wanted good examples of the classic shapes. Oh, I was way off. And I'm ready to explore something more fun. Yeah, you know what? I hope that other people want to explore something more fun too, Dylan. And obviously because I've got these 4 instruments that I can't wait to show you guys. A lot of you guys have seen them, and yeah, I think they're going to be fun. Okay. I'm moving past everyone's comment, not because I don't like you guys, but because it's going really quick here. So if I lost your comment, I apologize. Hi, Ron. Hey, I got your neck fretted today. I got your email, but I haven't gotten back to it yet. Vinny got the email that it cleared. Oh, good. Okay. Nice, man. That's awesome. Stringwood Guitars says, for a long time I built metal guitars, but after trying out some cool curvy goodness, the pointy stuff became less appealing. Okay, so when Dylan will back me up on this, when we were at Woodwire and Volts, Chris Masterson was there, and he was playing. I like how I'm kind of like vague name dropping stuff, but Chris Masterson was there. He plays for the Wallflowers, and nice guy. He was hanging out. I'm going to name drop again. He was hanging out with Carlos Lopez from Castadosa Guitars, and he was playing one of Carlos's guitars that I thought was like, ooh, that's a really cool one. I want to be inspired by that. And Chris is not like, a big guy. And the guitar that Carlos was displaying looked like a big guitar, but was not a big guitar. And so it looked cool on this guy, Chris, who had like a very striking appearance. Thank you for the super chat too, Dylan. Very striking look. His hair was like bleached white, and he had like tight pants on and a sport coat, and he was a cool looking dude. But not because he had tight pants. He's just one of them dudes who wears tight pants. You know what I mean? I don't know how old he is, but he plays in the Wallflowers. If you guys know the Wallflowers, they dress like that. So anyway, he was playing one of these, and I'm like, man, that's cool. I want like wouldn't it be rad if like somebody who's like Elvis Costello played one of my guitars that looked big but wasn't necessarily big. So I think but I don't think that guitars like that are necessarily metal guitars. You know what I mean? Like I don't think of an Explorer anymore as a metal guitar. Because like when I think of an Explorer, obviously James Hetfield comes to mind, but Albert Collins comes to mind. No, not Albert Collins. The guy from help me out here, gang. The guy from Leonard Skinner, Collings. Yeah, and I think it's cool too when you put your strap over the upper part of the Explorer. And I asked Brian Duncan if he did that, but he said he didn't. When I think of when I think of Flying V players, believe it or not, the first person that comes to mind is Lonnie Mack. It's not Kirk Hammett or I don't know, Robbie, the guy from UFO. Whatever. It's those guys. So I think that what the metal guys have glommed onto as their official guitar shapes, I don't think are necessarily. I think they're traditional enough where they just don't. They're at home on many stages, and I think that my new guitars, I would like to think could be at home on many stages. You know what else? I think that BC Rich's, there are some BC Rich shapes that definitely lend themselves more to the metal players. But I don't think that, Bernie Rico was a classical guitar builder. And I don't necessarily think that he had it in mind that the guys from Slayer were going to, dig BC Rich's or maybe he did. I don't know. Do you guys know? Normally when Chris is here, I can drink water, and after I go, what do you think about that, Chris? And then I take a drink. But Pete says a nice carved top double cut. Yeah, Pete, I dig those too, man. Double cuts, carved tops are one of the coolest. Now, I'm a single cutaway kind of guy most of the time. Alan Collins, thank you, Doc. Harry says Reverend guitars make some really cool, funky shapes. One of my favorite guitar players of all time, Bob Balch, has a Reverend signature model. It's not particularly out there, but I like it. Paul says I'd be into more fun shapes, but not oversized guitars. Less weight and bulk really matter more to me these days. Yeah, I think that weight is always a thing. I was talking with everybody on Dylan's show on Tuesday, and someone said, are light guitars still, like, do people still want light guitars? And I'm like, well, I don't know if people want light guitars, but I also know that when people pick up a guitar that is light enough, they say this, ooh, light. When people pick up a guitar that is too heavy, they say this, oh, so heavy. Now, I don't know what the cutoff is for that. Like, I don't know what the weight is for. Like, if a guitar weighs 10 pounds, someone picks it up, they go, oh, God, it's so heavy. And, normally my first reaction is, well, just go to the gym, stop being such a pud. But every time someone picks up a light guitar, they go, ooh, nice and light. Now, I'm not suggesting that it never works out the other way, where someone picks it up and goes, ugh, why so light? But generally, I don't think anybody ever picks up a really heavy guitar and goes, yeah, man, heavy guitar, right on. Maybe Doyle from Misfits does, but I don't know. Let's take a super chat from Doc, who says, I think the only way to make a new, instantly recognizable shape is to stray far away from the herd. I love the idea of something uniquely TTG. Well, thank you, Doc. I don't know how far away from the herd we have strayed, but I guess we'll see one day. Robbie says, I really like offsets, Mustangs, and Jags. I like them too. I think they're really cool. Hardly considered wacky these days. Let's see. Stringwood Guitar says, what do you think of the ABBA C body styles? I don't think anything about them. I have never seen them. I don't know anything about them. You know, a lot of people think that my day is occupied by guitar stuff all day, every day. And it is. Generally speaking, though, it has nothing to do with any other guitar builders. And I miss a lot of stuff. That's because I spend 8 to 10 hours in my shop building guitars every day. And then I go home and I spend a bunch of time on the computer returning emails. I get up early and I send emails and invoices and stuff. So I'm kind of guitared out when it's like time for me to have some time that's, you know, not guitar stuff. I'm like I said, I'm all guitared out. So frankly, I think I'm the wrong guy to ask about anything that's not a traditional shape, because I don't know. And when I make a unique shape, I know for a fact some of you guys are going to go, oh, that's exactly like this. Whether it is or isn't, time's going to tell on that. But because people still say my Challenger is just a Telecaster, and I'm like, they're nothing. They're not like that at all. You guys are blind. So, but you guys are going to see them and you're going to go, oh, that looks like an RD, or that looks like a blah, blah, blah. No, I don't think so, but you might, and that's cool. We can still be friends. You can still come to my birthday party. Galaxy Stranger 01 says, how can you balance a guitar build? Oh, wait, no. How can you balance a guitar build? We have so many choices of woods and body styles. If you're making something like a Les Paul style guitar, how do you reconcile the balance and weight? Well, I don't know how I balance it. I think that you have to make a design that you really like. I am a fan of building. Man, I tell you what, if I could write a book, it would be called 150 Questions for Guitar Builders. And it would be patterned after the book that Panther Press published way back before SOF magazine was a thing, and before Paladin Press was a thing. And Colonel Brown published that book that I'm talking about. I'm not going to say the name, but if you guys know, if you know, you know. And I one of the things that I would say would be a lot about what you, very akin to what you just said there, my friend. How do you balance it? And if I'm taking your question's meaning correctly, it's going to have to be something that is reproducible and something that you don't mind making a lot of, because you're going to have to make a bunch of them to kind of get your technique down. And after a while, you're going to get bored with making versions of somebody else's thing. You know, I love Telecasters and I love Les Pauls, but I don't want to make any more of them. I mean, I like teaching people how to do them, but I couldn't tell you how many copies of Tellys and Les Pauls and Strats and stuff that we've made for people. I think they're neat, but I would just as soon make my shapes now. Not, and again, because they're mine, they're not, you know what I mean? They're not somebody else's. So I think you have to balance that in with your design ethos as well. I don't know if that answers the question, that if that is the question you asked, but hopefully it is. Vinny, you think Les Paul custom fans are all about heavy guitar? I don't know, man. I think there's some Les Paul customs out there. The Les Paul custom light that Sir Paul McCartney is pictured with Les Paul himself is probably quite svelte. Doc says the Adam Jones signature Les Pauls were all built out of the heaviest mahogany they could find at his request. I don't know who Adam Jones is, but he sounds like a dipshit. Dan says, Matt, checked out the Abasi guitars. Looks similar to the neck through guitar Ben made in the first class I was at. Oh, yeah, those are cool, man. Some of those, okay, because I don't know what they are. The concept of a comfortable guitar, or a what do they call it when everything's exactly where it needs to be? The hand placement, your hand naturally falls to something sitting. I can't think of the word. If you guys can think of it, let me know. Maybe Doc's already saying. Doc says that Adam Jones is the guitarist for Tool, and he sounds like a Tool. Doc says ergonomic. Thank you, Doc and Dan. Ergonomic, yeah. Ergonomic instruments, to me, are something that have been around for a while. I think some of the early ones, like the Ovation Breadwinner, could be considered, ergonomic guitar. Why did I not think of that word? I don't know why. Because I'm just rambling and I'm ranting and I'm calling people tools and dipshits, and I think it's funny. So what's that?
Busy days.
It's a busy day, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I think that ergonomic guitars are cool, and they're a cool thing. They do seem to have a small percentage of guitar players want that stuff. You know what? Thank you for reminding me of that. Stringwood guitars, because I think that segues nicely to what I'm talking about. Let's say that there are 100 guitar buyers. There are 100 guys with X number of dollars in their hands, and enough money to get whatever they want. I would be surprised if even one of those guys bought an ergonomic looking guitar. I think that the traditional shapes, to include stuff like Flying V's and Explorers, Les Paul Strats, the allure of the traditional to guitar players and the guitar buying public is so great that you have to find a 1%er who's into that thing that's not the traditional stuff. Even my guitars, the Challenger is a very traditional shape, but it doesn't say Gibson. I had a guy send me an email the other day and he's like, hey, will you build me an RD? And there was a bunch of back and forth on it. And I'm like, he wants something that you can't get from Gibson. And I'm like, man, I tell you what, it would be easier and cheaper for you to just buy the new Gibson RD and have somebody paint it the way you want it. Because I think what people want most of the time is they want it to say Gibson or Fender or Paul Reed Smith on the headstock. And you got to be a 1%er. You got to be kind of an outlaw to play something that's really unique, even if it's not particularly foreign, even if it's comfortable, even if it's familiar looking or feeling. You got to be a 1%er to actually plop down money and buy it and play it. The world is full of people who dare to be exactly the same as everybody else. And the world is full of people who, they compromise. If you're one of those people who refuses to compromise and refuses to be exactly like everybody else, or is just tired of stuff that's been around since 1950 something, well, good on you, man. I hopefully all you guys in the comment section are like that. Let's talk a little bit about what Dylan was talking about earlier, or I think you guys have. But before we do, let me go back to the comment section and see what you guys are up to. Vinny's World says TTG is unique. Most times we are, Vinny. Sometimes we are not. That Super Sunday driver on the site is looking sweet. Yeah, so that's all the way down the end there. And you know what? That's not a unique guitar either. That's basically a Strat because we were doing a Strat build. Hey, by the way, is Big Jim in the comment section tonight? I need to talk with that guy. Jim Fitz, the same. Maybe he's out rocking out tonight. I don't know. The Super Sunday driver is cool. It's you know what? It does have some features that are not 100% exactly like a Strat, namely the neck, and the way that the neck is constructed is very different from a regular Strat. And you know what, guys? Don't hear this. Do not hear me say I don't like Strats, because I do. I love Strats and I love Tellys, but I can't make them all the time. You know, there are so many people that's what they do. They make Tellys and Strats, and they're not Fender. I got a big ration of crap from some guy on some comment on my video from Sunday, and he's like, "How dare you call yourself how dare you say you make Strats and Tellys?" I never said I did. Only Fender can say that. And if you do, you're just a pretender to the throne, or some nonsense like that. Like, you know, I could probably name a dozen, and I'm old and I forget stuff. And I could probably name a dozen companies that all they make is Strats and Tellys. And, you know, so don't be a butthole to me in the comment section of a video that you didn't like. So people do that though. What are you going to do? No. Dan says, I think TTG and your following are 1%ers. I think so too, Dan. Sean just said he just got here and maybe missed the point, but after the contest last year, I love light guitars. So yeah, and he says that comfort's a big deal to him. So Sean participated in last year's contest. By the way, there will be a contest this year. There are no rules. I don't care what you want to make whatever you want. I think it's going to be September is when we're going to. We know it's not going to be August, right? Because Jim is going to be busy in August, and we want to have Jim be there for that.
We'll get it soon.
We'll get it up there soon. But and I don't care when you made it. If you made it 10 years ago, bring it. I don't care. But last year I said that every guitar had to weigh plus or minus 100 ounces, plus or minus 1 ounce. Man, I got some grief from some people. Like, how do you know your scale is going to be? You know what? I don't know why you're even bothering to ask me that, because you're not going to build anything. You're just like trying to start drama on the internet. Which, can you imagine? What a way to live. So this year I've just decided I am tired of like silly, stupid rules. Make the best guitar you can make, and I don't care if it costs $400 or $5,000. It weighs, 100 ounces or 1 ounce or 1,000 ounces. Doesn't matter to me. Make something cool, and we'll look at it, and we'll have a lot of fun. Joel says nothing, but Joel, thank you for the super chat. Any updates on his icon? Yes, as a matter of fact, your icon is the pickup is on its way from Dylan, and Chris is on vacation, so it's not going to get assembled right this second. But Joy, I think the tuners are on it. I'm not going to show it to you because it's not done yet. But yeah, I think you did. Yeah, it's ready to go. We're waiting on the pickup from Dylan, and Dylan is making it or sending it or some combination of that. But yeah, it will be done soon, Joel. Doc says he's looking forward to being a runner-up to Devin again. I think that we're going to say Devin can't do it this year. Oh, has he said he's not going to do it?
I think he's taking a year off.
Taking a year off, like he's like he's the hot stuff. No, Devin's a good guy. And I'm hoping that he's here, because you know what? I wouldn't, if Devin's not here, I still would talk smack. But if he was here, I would talk double the smack. So anyway, let's talk about, okay, Dylan brought up something at the beginning of the show, and I said, let's put a pin in it and talk about it. As you guys may or may not know, if you are one of the 20,000 people that watch the video on Sunday, you will know that we have added a boatload of new workshops. And for one thing, I'm really, really excited about all the new workshops. So we've added stuff like a BC Rich workshop, a Les Paul Jr. workshop, a Jazz Master workshop, a bunch of neck building, neck carving, body construction, neck through stuff. We've added so many things, and Paul signed up for the for one of the essential neck building workshops. But one of the things that Chris said he wanted to do was, he's like, let's do this thing. And he starts like rattling off all these crazy things that people would be required to do. And I'm like, what are we going to call that? And so he, in classic Chris fashion, you guys can imagine what Chris said. So I started calling it Chris's Mystery Workshop. And I was telling Dylan about it, and I'm like, no one's going to do it because it's just this kooky thing. So what it is you get 5 days in the shop, you get a body blank, and you are required to bring everything else, including a neck, and you are required to make something that works with the neck that you brought, but something that's totally unique. And what Chris said, it would be sort of like if Carlos Lopez had to stop working at the Fender Custom Shop and started his own, guitar company and had to make something that's unique to him. Oh, wait, that's what happened. And so in fact, what we really would like to do is, Carlos has talked about coming out here, and that would be a fun one to have him come out for. But kind of design from within, but you can't make a Strat. You can't make a Tele. You got to make something that has never been seen before. So we'll give you a body blank, and we'll give you the shop for 5 days, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. And then Dylan found out about it. He's like, I love this idea. And I'm like, you and me and Chris are the only ones. And then people started like asking about it, and they want to do it. So maybe it's because I said no one's going to want to do this, and I'm like, I dare you to do it. But Dylan's like, no, man, I think it sounds fun. Why don't I come out? He was going to come out anyway for this thing that Ike at Flipside's doing. And I'm like, why don't we have like another one of your pickup winding things? And so people can wind their own pickups. And so Dylan's going to do this stuff. He's going to like laser etch a bunch of parts and laser do and cut out things. And I hope I'm getting it right, Dylan. But you can come out to this workshop, and it's cheap. It's cheap for a workshop where I give you the shop for 5 days, basically. And then if you want, you can sign up to Dylan's thing, and we're going to have a blast doing it. And I think there's going to be a lot more people who want to do this than I had originally thought. In fact, I think we're probably going to have to have a wait list for it, because I think it's going to sell out fast. Galaxy Stranger 01 says, anybody know if they make a 2-way toggle switch? The only ones I can find are 3-way, even the one that came on my LTD. I don't know.
Someone said to check in with Dylan next hour.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's lots of micro switches that do that. Light switch, that's a 2-way switch. You can go to Home Depot and get one of those. You don't mean that, do you? Vinny says he's really looking forward to the reveal for that one. I think it's a cool one too, man. I can't wait to see what people come up with. And Dylan, we got to see if we can get Carlos to come out here. If you and I bother him enough, he might come out. Plus, I want to show him my new Hustler series. Dylan, I also think I was talking with Jonathan and their video guy from Casino Guitars at the Woodwire and Volt show. If you have any juice there, I will bother them. I will bother Baxter and Jonathan. Let's see if we can get one of those guys or both those guys to come up for that week too. I think that would be a lot of fun. And imagine the video content that someone with a a YouTube channel could come up with if they came to that. All right, let's see what's going on in the old comment section here. Dastardly Dave says, read about the neck in the write-up. There needs to be a correction unless you already got it. Yeah, I did it, Dave. Ryan Elias got me on that one. I think read it again and let me know if you don't mind, or send me an email if you would, please. Stringwood Guitar says, I would love to come hang out for 5 days and build something cool. We would love to have you, my friend. But man, Stringwood Guitars, everybody I know has got a big butt. Tell me about your big butt. He says, but I got this stupid job that requires me to show up. Man, I'm sorry, dude. But I'm not sorry. No, we want to see you out here, man. I realize that, it's hard to do, but okay. But life is short. No one has any guarantees. And you get to write a verse in this sonnet. That is the world that we live in. And I decided a long time ago that I wanted to work for a living and be a slave to a time clock and reliant on that paycheck and be that guy who, has to kind of, I'm not lying. This isn't going to be like, ha, ha, ha. No, I didn't. That was absolutely me. And I wanted to be happy with just building guitars in my spare time and enjoying it as a hobby and doing stuff, even though it wasn't a hobby. When I was working full time, I had 2 full-time jobs. I was building guitars full time. I didn't do it 9 to 5 every day, but Saturday and Sunday were entirely taken up by, there was 24 hours of guitar building time that I did on Saturday and Sunday. And then before work and after work, I would go out to my home shop and I would work and work and work because I loved it so much. And it was June 1st, 2019. Actually, it was before that, but on June 1st, 2019, it was my last day as an employee. I stopped being an employee and I had to do something else. And I thought, maybe I should give it one shot. I was 49 years old. And I'm like, I don't know how many more years I have. And maybe I should try it. Maybe I should see. I really was, though. I was perfectly happy with being a guy who just did it. And, and I was perfectly happy getting up early and going out to the shop and then getting, taking a shower and going to work and driving and sitting in traffic and doing this job that I wasn't bad. The money was good, but it was like, I said to myself one time, I'm like, what if I knew I only had 1 year left? What would I do differently? I'd run up my credit cards a lot faster, that's for sure. But what would I do differently? And then all of a sudden, in spite of what I had resigned myself to, something said, no, Matt, you can't do that anymore. You have to try this other thing. And so I did. But it wasn't my choice. The choice was made for me. And it was just like, I just kept getting sign after sign after sign. Joy says, what sort of signing or sign are you looking for? But it's true, man. If you knew this was going to be your last chance to do something, what would you do differently? I don't know. I'm the wrong guy to ask, I guess, because I was the biggest I'll do it later procrastinator. So Dylan says that would be a fantastic idea. And Dylan, let's do that. Let's just bombard those guys with requests to come to this thing. Galaxy says, I have 2 pickups and like the toggle between the 2 of them. Okay. Well, I don't know what to tell you, man. Light switch at Home Depot. That would do it. Dave, does 10-4 mean that you are gonna look or that you looked and it's changed?
He found it. It's changed.
Okay, good. Nuclear Grizzly says you guys are talking about switches still. Dylan talks to also, and don't forget that TTG people get discounts on their pickups and they go to their classes and they sound amazing. Yeah. Okay. I forget to tell you guys this all the time. I don't know why. I think it's because I just space it out. I've got so much on my plate, But you guys you get, I don't know what it is. I think it's 10% off from Dylan Pickups if you just use the code in the description below. And remember, when you call Dylan, you talk to Dylan. And when Dylan's winding your pickups, it's Dylan winding. You don't get to call Larry DiMarzio and talk to Larry. Well, I mean, I don't know who you are, but you probably don't. I don't. And I don't have any juice at any pickup companies. So yeah, when you come out to a workshop, absolutely check out Dylan's stuff and get a discount. I keep forgetting that. I'm sorry, Dylan. Thank you for reminding me. Doc says that sounds like what I'm doing now. Doc, don't make it about you, man. I'm teasing you, Doc. Says that sounds like what I'm doing now. Every spare minute goes to making pickups and guitars. Dude, Doc, how much longer are you going to do it, man? How much longer are you going to do dentist stuff? How much longer is it going to be before you move down here and buy this building and I start working for you, Doc? How long? How much longer is it going to be? Robbie says, when I come out to visit and build my first guitar, the body shape will not be something from my warped mind. Robbie, I want to see it. I want to see what lives in the recesses of your brain, sir. Dan says, I'm so hoping I can join you fall of 2026 for my number 3. Well, Dan, I hope to see you then too, my friend. Jay says that he would love to come to Chris's mystery workshop, but he'll be at a concert in Arkansas that week, and he can't swing it. Well, Jay, we're going to see you in August, though. Richard Ryan says, you are more essential now than when you were an essential worker. Okay, my friend Richard Ryan knew me from when I worked as an essential. I was a cog in the juggernaut that was the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration building in Boulder, Colorado. And I for some reason or another, I was considered essential. I remember talking with people, like they would close the facility down every so often. And these people, these like, I don't know, students would walk up. It was a learning campus too. So there was a lot of like interns and stuff. And I would have to tell them, hey, the building's closed unless you're essential. And usually what they would say is, well, how do you know if you're essential? And I'm like, well, if you have to ask me that, you're not. But so then I started saying, well, do you know where the MREs are? And they would say things like, what are MREs? Or no. And I'd be like, then you're not essential. You don't need to be in here. So yeah, I don't know that I'm more essential now, Richard, than I was at NOAA, but I enjoy my stress. I don't know. My stress is different now. I don't know if I love it or hate it or love and hate it equally. Doing what you love for a living is something that I am blessed to be able to do. And I think Dylan would agree with me. It's not without its challenges, Doc knows. I am going to predict I give Doc another year before he's like, nah, I can't not do the guitar thing full time. I think that Siltonen Guitars is going to be a gigantic thing within 360 days, 365 days. Mark my words. I said it. What is it? The 24th? April 24th, 2025. By this time next year, Siltonen Guitars are going to Maybe not Guitar Center, but they're going to be somewhere that you know of. Mark my words. All right, let's see. Robbie F says, no, Matt, you don't want to know what's in the recess of my mind. Oh, I want to know what guitar is in the recess of your mind. Searching for tone. Hey, are you the dude who did the thing that didn't talk about me, but said, I watched your video. It was, okay, I listened to your video because I was working in the shop. So it was on, and yeah, I was doing some fretting today, and I was running back and forth from the wood shop to the workshop. And so I might have missed part of it, but thank you for catching alive. I really appreciate it, my friend. Dastardly Dave says, hey, Brian, that must be Searching for Tone's name, Brian. Joel says, going to Red Rocks to see Joe B in August. Maybe I can swing a class. Well, Joel, actually, there are some spots in the semi-hollow body workshop. I don't know when Joe B, is that Joe Bonamassa? How come Joe Bonamassa doesn't come to my shop? I know the answer, but I don't have any vintage gear here. Maybe if Jim is willing to sell his 57 Strat, Joe Bonamassa will come and play. How many 57 Strats do you guys reckon Joe Bonamassa has? 10, 15? Probably. All right. Well, we just have a few more minutes to go, and I got to tell you, I think I get more cottonmouth parched doing these live streams by myself. I think I talk even more when it's just me than when Chris is here. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I hate dead air. I hate to have any time in the show where there's not something. There's not some audio going on, because I listen to these things in my car, and every time I hear dead space or dead air, radio silence, I'm always like, wow, did my phone just take a dump? Am I in like cell hell? So that's kind of it's a personal thing for me. So I hate it. But now I'm going to take a drink. Okay. So anyway, gang, I want you to have a great night. I'm going to be doing a early thing tomorrow morning. I don't know what it's going to be called, but it's going to be another one of the shooting the breeze with the TTGs. It's just going to be me because, like I said, Chris is on vacation. And Brian helped me out quite a bit the last time on Tuesday. And I didn't do one yesterday because I took the day off. And I didn't do one today because I think that one live stream a day is plenty. But I will do one tomorrow. I don't know what the topic is going to be, but I'm looking forward to doing that and hanging out with you guys who are maybe retired or maybe at work, but are not working because they're sticking it to the man. I don't know what you guys do. And, but there will not be a reveal tomorrow. I can tell you that if you are in the area this weekend, I will be the master of ceremonies for the Odyssey Beer Works Pinewood Derby. That is something I'm looking forward to. And I've been practicing all week my Pinewood Derby spiel. So I want to hope that everybody is going to have a great night tonight. And I hope that everybody's going to go over to Dylan's page and hang out with Dylan and his lovely wife, Leslie, for their guitar section. And, after they do an hour there, then they have like I don't know what they call it, free chat or free something where they talk about like all kinds of stuff that, it's whatever Dylan is into and whatever you guys are into. So I know Dylan's into like pens and knives and motorbikes and stuff like that. But if you want to talk about, I don't know what you guys are into. Fire extinguishers. I'm just looking around at the things here that are in the shop. You want to talk about like, M&Ms. You want to talk about pranking people by putting Skittles in with the M&Ms in a big bowl and see what happens. Hilarity ensues. So Vinny, thank you for watching. Lefty says freezing in the last moment. Glorified G says guns. Dastardly Dave says thanks, Matt. Jay says thanks, Matt. Have a great evening. I will. And Dan, we will see you tomorrow too. Pete, have a great night, my friend. Terry says Matt is the master of conversation. Oh, I don't know about that, my friend. Jay says he's working from home. Terry says that it's not freezing here, so maybe it's on Lefty's end. I don't know. Anyway, gang, thanks for hanging out with me. We'll see you tomorrow for some kind of something. And go and say, tell Dylan that your good buddy Uncle Matt sent you.